like to introduce up to the stage Chinaka Hodge, head writer and executive producer, poet and editor. Zoie Nagelhout, executive producer. And Sev Ohanian, executive producer. And the three of these individuals are all also USC alumni.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, we want to thank you all so much for being here with us tonight. The show is absolutely amazing, as you can tell from the reactions, and just thank you all for pouring your artistry into it to create it. I'd love to just start out by getting to know, how did each of you get involved in the show, and what was it about Riri Williams, aka Ironheart, as a character that made you feel like this was an important story that needed to be told now?
I met Ironheart through the comics, like most people. I'm really good friends with Eve Ewing. I came up in the poetry scene in and around Chicago and the Bay Area with her. And so I knew the comic books, obviously, because I'm a Black girl who was thirsty for images like myself. But I heard about the project after pitching on a different Marvel project, which I was sure needed a strong Black female action hero in it. And they were like, cool, about this other property we have. So I ended up meeting Zoie and Kelsey in early 2020, early 2020, and got to pitch through and really loved the process of working with Zoie and Kelsey, Lou, our other creative executive on this. And at the end of a couple rounds of pitching, they let me know that my really good friends from USC were on the other side of the producing door. And so I had no idea that Sev and Ryan and Zinzi, my longtime friends, would be my producing and collaboration partners. But it was a joy. Enjoyed it, worked it. My homies from the way back.
I had read the comics when they came out, but didn't know when and how we might get to bring her into the MCU. And then it was shortly before she was thought of to be put in Black Panther Wakanda Forever that we started developing the show. So it was actually prior to her inclusion in that movie, but then when Ryan decided to put her in the movie, it was like even more reason to do it, and it gave us this amazing platform to see her really out of her element, pun intended, fish out of water, in that movie, and then to get to develop the show that would take us home with her and really get to see, who she is, who are the characters that build out her world. Like, that was such an exciting opportunity. It was, like, you couldn't pass it up. So for me, that was like the real moment of like, okay, that's what this show is, and really gave us an opportunity to like expand on who Riri is as a character.
Yeah, and for me, it's kind of a backwards approach. I actually got to know Dominique first. Dominique Thorne plays Riri and Ironheart. Ryan, Zinzi, myself, Ryan Coogler, Zinzi Coogler, we have a company called Proximity that we made a bunch of movies together. One of those movies actually was Judas and the Black Messiah. And while I was on set for that one, Ryan would often ask me like, how's it going? How's the cast doing? Because he and Zinzi would come and go. And he was like, how's Dominique? And I was like, oh, she's fantastic. And he said, well, but how is she? And I was like, she's really great. And I got the sense that he must want her for a really important role. And it turned out it was for Riri in Wakanda Forever. And just like, Nak and Zoie got to know the characters in the comics. And, Proximity, we were really fortunate that Marvel Studios has allowed us to come in and be partners on a couple of projects for them, including Ironheart. And, got a chance to work with Zoie. And Chinaka's always been somebody that I've known here, literally got to meet you in these hallways, like in these classrooms. I would try and copy your homework all the time. And and I remember she was always a writer that I wanted to get her approval. I would send her my stuff, like, what do you think? And we just always knew it was a matter of time before we get to work together. And on Ironheart, there was a process. A lot of people kind of pitched on it, and you were by far the #1 winner. And so it was a dream come true to work with you on this.
Who's cinema? Who's STEM? Everybody STEM?
Okay, raise your hand if you are a production major or were a production major if you graduated.
For sure. Good.
And it could be grad or undergrad. Okay, and then CAMS, Cinema Media Studies.
Okay.
Math, Media Arts and Practice.
Love that.
Okay. Screenwriting.
I love you. I miss you. Hi. I see you. I know y'all got writing too.
Games. Any games? people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Augmented reality, is that still a thing here?
Yes.
There.
Oh, and any Starkeys. We were just talking about that. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So I think the rest of everybody is there.
Okay,
Cool.
Dang. Intimidated.
Okay, so Riri is a tech genius. She's such a bold and beautiful character that, she's gonna make her dreams happen by any means necessary. But like any human being, she's also flawed and layered. So I'm wondering, within the Marvel Universe, how did you and the writers balance staying true to the comics while also bringing in new ideas and new dimensions to her story?
It's a great question. I would say I struggle now and I struggled then with making Riri feel like someone who is a character that has a journey to go on, who's a flawed character who makes poor decisions, who also is a role model. I think walking that line has been difficult. We talked a lot about likability at the early part of the room, and I patterned Riri's speech off Tony Stark's speech. Like, Riri talks wild, like Tony Stark talks wild. I made her just as brash and as snarky and as smart and lean into the intellect. I made her talk to Jarvis the same way that he talks, talk to Natalie the same way he talks to Jarvis. And a lot of people were like, she's not very likable. And I was like, So I don't know, I really struggled to bring what works from the comic book to life, what really characters respond to. And also to make a genius who is unafraid of her brilliance, who moves in some bravado, like the geniuses I know can, who, like my mother, will talk anybody down off of anything. My mother is a technologist who was born in the 60s in Illinois, went to Northwestern, got a mechanical engineering degree, and then went on to be a marketing and engineer for like HP, Sun, sort of all the big tech companies in the Bay Area. Was there for the launch of the Mac computer in '84. Like, my mom was that deal, and I based Riri a lot on Tony Stark and my mom.
I mean, we really didn't shy away from creating a flawed character because those are the most interesting characters to watch, in our opinion. And I think early on, we found that it was difficult to find comps for this show, but we talked about everything from I May Destroy You to Breaking Bad, and everything in between. And I think for us, building out a character who was going to go on a journey where she made mistakes, meant she was at the beginning of her story. She is a young adult, and young adults do not know who they are yet, and that felt more relatable to us than someone like even Tony, who wasn't really a young adult when we met him. He was further along in his journey. He had growth. He had things he had to learn and overcome. So even more so for someone who is struggling without the same resources that he had, it felt very organic to the story to tell a journey of her sort of like going through her trials and tribulations of morality, and also a story about the tethers between trauma and ambition. And that really just like fueled a lot of what we put together, for this one.
Beautiful, thank you. So Zoe, you've had an amazing career journey. So you graduated here from CAMS, and now you're VP of Production and Development at Marvel. So I'm wondering, can you walk us through, I know a lot of us students are always wondering, can you walk us through what your role looks like at the executive level on a series like Ironheart, from development through production, and what type of decisions are you personally responsible for making, or thought processes? It sounds like you're in tune a lot with the characters and...
Sorry, Knox just hyping me up, and I'm like,
she's that deal. She's that one.
No, it's a great question. It's a very nebulous one to answer sometimes because there's just so many facets to a project and its lifespan. I feel very grateful I get to be a part of it from sort of inception to completion. And so the first thing that I'm a part of is, Kevin comes to me and says, we want to make this show, or we want to do something with this character. And then me and my producing partner, Kelsey Liu, will go and sort of write what we call a discussion document. So, which you're the first one, these guys are the first ones who read that. It's like a 20-page document that basically breaks down who we think the character is, who we think the supporting characters could be, the villains, the themes, what are comps, what is the tone of the genre, basically building a sandbox, and you want that sandbox to feel like one that writers can play in freely. So it's not sort of guiding people towards an answer, it's giving them the space in which to play. So the next task then becomes sending that out to writers who we think are a fit and seeing how they engage with it. And in the case of like someone like Chinaka, they do so by expanding upon it in ways that you never thought could exist. And that's when you usually know you found the right person, is because they add to it, they bring layers to it that you didn't see. And so from there, it is just putting together the right team, and in partnership with people like Chinaka and Sev and our partners at Proximity Media. It's really about finding the writers to fill out the room, the crew, department heads that are going to sort of oversee the various sections of the project. We are really, you think of it almost like you're an architect and you're putting together, or you're part of a construction crew, and you're putting together the right people in each of these positions, because you don't have the very specific skill set that is needed to do those jobs. You just have the overall sort of project in your head, and you're trying to help guide people and give them a space where they can do their best work. So it becomes nebulous in that sense, but you're just kind of there to guide people. And I really see our job as supporting and having answers and being problem solvers.
Zoe, is there an aspect of the show that if it went wrong, you wouldn't get a phone call?
No.
Everything.
And then Sev, I asked you a similar question. Where did you come in that process?
That's a really good question. I mean, it's so rare as a producer who's been doing this for a little while now to have producing partners like Zoe, because right from the beginning she was so welcoming and she knows Marvel inside and out. I think you got accepted to USC by writing a letter about, or a personal statement about Iron Man 2, right?
I wrote a paper on Iron Man 2.
That's right. So like, so she's like not only an incredible filmmaker and producer in her own right, she just knows the world so well. It made it easy for me and for my partners Ryan and Zinzi, because we got to take Zoe's lead, and she's been through so many projects. She was on Black Panther, she was on Falcon and Winter Soldier, so she always brought a lot of expertise. And just like Zoe was saying, we see our position there to support the filmmaker. And in our case, we have director Sam Bailey and Angela Barnes. You guys saw episodes 1 and 2 that Sam Bailey directed. Chinaka, of course, our head writer. Our job is there to support them, at times to challenge them, at times to lead us in a different direction, or to just debate and kind of make sure we're all focused on the mission, which is to tell the best story we possibly can.
Thank you so much. You've also had an inspiring journey, especially going on to Proximity and producing so many amazing films. So I want to know, kind of for you, looking back, what were some pivotal moments or decisions early in your career that have shaped your path, the path that you're on now? And how do those experiences influence the stories that you choose to create, like Ironheart?
Yeah. So I was really fortunate to meet a lot of people here at USC that have become, I consider, lifelong collaborators. Zoe, Chinaka, of course. Zoe I didn't know at the time at USC, but I got to meet somebody named Natalie Kasabian, who's a producing partner of mine and also my wife. I met a guy named Manish Chaganty, who's a writing partner of mine and also a friend, and Ryan, of course, who we have a company together and I produce for him. The way I got to meet all these people was just by doing my job here at USC. I was not the best networker.
That is not true.
You
were actually
The best networker, are you kidding me?
I guess I was a decent networker. But to me, it was really about really, I mean, you guys know this, a lot of you guys are film students here, they would tell us, don't do animals, don't do explosions, don't do young children, focus on the art of it, and I was like, all right, let's blow up some animals. And I was really into, finding ways to be ambitious, because I feel like the stakes are so much lower here at USC. Obviously, it feels really high, but, your livelihood's not on the hook just yet. So I would really thrive in finding ways to make the biggest, most ambitious projects, and I got a call from Ryan Coogler, who he had graduated before me, and he was like, hey, I'm about to put this project together. It was a little indie called Fruitvale Station, and he wanted to bring on producers who were from SC who could have his back creatively, and I was really fortunate that he had asked students and professors, and I got recommended to him. So to me, that first lesson was just taking pride in what you do, and even if it's a student film, not holding back from trying to make something cool and epic. Working on Fruitvale, it was my first time on a real movie. I was one of the producers. Ryan, first time, period. He was the writer-director. And that film, we made it in a very non-conventional way. I think there was a lot of people on that set out of love would tell us, hey guys, this is not what real directors or what a professional producer or an experienced, filmmaker would do, just FYI. And in a way, over the years, that's actually become somewhat of an anthem for us. Like, if we're doing something that's not necessarily industry standard, maybe we're doing something right. Maybe there's a different approach you can take to telling stories, especially the type of stories we like to tell. And, just over the course of the past 10 years or so, more often than not, taking on projects that on the surface feel difficult to describe, or that they maybe don't seem like a sure thing. A movie like Judas and the Black Messiah, for example, like that's a historical, challenging movie about a time that Americans like, but if there's a way you can make it thrilling. I made a movie called Searching that takes place on a computer screen, but we found a way to make it emotional and thrilling. Like, even Proximity, our most recent movie, if you guys saw it,
If you guys saw
it's a blues musical vampire situation set like in the Jim Crow South. So like it was like on paper we might we just pride ourselves in it. If there's a way to make something that on the surface doesn't seem easy, that makes it that much more impressive and rewarding if you get to watch that. So that's always been our approach, and I think Ironheart is no exception at all.
Thank you so much. I want to shift back to you. So I know that this story is deeply personal for you. I was watching one of your interviews where you talked about after losing one of your best friends at the same age of Riri, and I really appreciated how you described the series as a way to unpack your trauma. So I wanted to know, as a writer, how have your own life experiences shaped and influenced your characters, and how has that process expanded your approach to storytelling?
Great question. Shout out to Malaya Willis Starbuck, who was killed in a drive-by. My sophomore year of college. I was very close to Riri's age, and I have her name tatted on me because when I write, I want to remember her every day. So Malaya definitely works her way into this. But to be honest, like, I'm so close to trauma. It's so readily accessible to me. It's easier to find trauma than like fresh groceries in my neighborhood. It's easier to find trauma than like joy most days. So I feel like that's what Riri's going through in so many ways, and her lack of desire to talk about Natalie or Gary or what she's seen in Wakanda. Like, she lost a lot of people, and I think it can hinder genius. And so really what I wanted to talk about is what happens to a dream deferred, what happens to a genius who isn't given tools to heal herself. So I think that's deeply personal. I think I was working out a lot of that while we were on set. And then on some very personal but very basic levels, my brother was in an accident the day before we started production. And so thinking about Zeke and his augmentation to his body became very real and very tangible in different kinds of ways, and thinking about people using iron to augment their lives and their bodies and to extend their genius has been like very top of mind for me. So that's a through line that I think runs quietly throughout the show. I could go on for days. I think the best friend character in Natalie is like very much like Malaya, very much like some other friends that I've lost, but also friends that I have. Like I wanted to write the homegirls that I know. I feel like Cree Summers' character is very much like what I aspire to be, and Angie's character in Ronnie is very much what I aspire to be. So yeah, I wanted to put all the things that make us tick into the MCU. Like, I wanted to make a safe space for womanness and queerness and genius and blackness and Shea Coulee-ness. As you know, there's only one word for Shay, not Shay. So much of it is deeply personal, and anyone who knows me, their feedback on the show hasn't been we like it or we don't like it. It's like, I can hear your voice in everything. That's me. That's me and but that's me.
Okay, so I have one last question, then we're gonna open it all up to the audience. So we'll have about 10 minutes for questions. We ask if you can please keep your questions brief so that as many people who have questions can ask them. So, of course, we mentioned we're here with film student Sev. I know you already gave some amazing advice. For all the film students and aspiring filmmakers in the room, knowing what you know now and considering the future of the industry, I know me and Zoe were just talking outside about how a lot of us are hearing how, you know, the industry right now, things are super slow and we're in a transitionary period and a lot of maybe discouraging things, especially for those of us who have may just graduated. So I'm wondering, what advice would you give young creatives who are just starting out their careers in entertainment, especially looking to create narratives like this, in terms of pushing through despite maybe a lot of those discouraging things that we're hearing?
I'm not gonna lie to you and say it's not tough out here right now. It is. But I think one, you're a rarefied skill set, and you know that already. Like you have a rare and unique mind, each of you, because you are. But also, you wound up here for a reason, and you have all the resources at this very moment to make your own thing. So, as Sev was talking, I realized that while I was here, I didn't work on a single 546. It was like the thing. I don't know if that's still the thing, but like. I never applied. I didn't want to do that because everybody was doing that. I wrote on everybody else's project that didn't get made into a 546, including reading Sev's script, including reading Stephen Cable's script, including reading Nina's script, and these are the people that are working now. So I say that anecdotally just to say, like, you're probably someone who's good at breaking the rules to your benefit already. Keep doing that and keep making what you see in your head, because like you're still gonna make it better than anyone else and any machine.
Very good advice. I think I would probably say two things. One, I would pass along a piece of advice that I was given that I found to be really helpful, especially if you're looking to get into more of the sort of producing or executive side. And that advice was just get as close, like physically close to the rooms that you want to be in. Like it doesn't. I was the receptionist at Marvel for a year. Like I was like, put me in, coach, because I'm sitting 20 feet away from the rooms that I hope to be in one day, and that worked for me. So I feel like that is good advice in the sense that you're going to meet people that way. It doesn't really matter what job you do first. That's the beauty of this industry, is that people do sort of move between positions and departments, and I've seen it 100 times at Marvel. So I do think that that's something to keep in mind, and just in terms of like, what is that foot in the door, and take whatever that is. The other thing that sort of piggybacking on what you said is like, make stuff. Like just make stuff with your friends. Like I watch it. Like I get sent stuff that is not necessarily the stuff that is in the theaters. Like I'm watching things to see who is the next talent. Like we need that. We need the fresh voices. And I know like people in Sev and I's position, we are always hunting for like who has a new fresh take on things, who is subverting genre and tropes, because now the subversions are the expected, so how do we keep surprising audiences? And I do think that you guys are the ones who have those ideas, and so get them on screen somehow in some way so that people like us can see that.
And also so you meet the people you're gonna make the stuff with.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'll add is, do you, when it comes to the projects you want to write or direct or put out there. It's not enough anymore to direct a really good, haunted house story, or to make a really cool action short film. It's not enough. Like anything you put out there has to be unequivocally, individually you, and that is capitalizing on who you are, your background, your family, any resource you have. Like lean into your own story. I swear to you guys, it will make you stand out immensely with film festival submissions, with executives who take a look at your stuff. Like people are looking for unique voices. I think you see that even in the films that are working in theaters now. It's movies that are really uniquely that filmmaker story.
Okay, thank you all so much. Oh, did you want to add?
No, I just see that hand that went straight up.
Hey, congratulations. I love seeing SCA alumni just killing it. It's super inspiring. My question is, Ironheart has so much queer identity, and I know within the company it's very easy for it to be changed and scrapped. And can you just talk about like working, within the company and trying to fight for ideas? How do you protect ideas that you want to keep? Can you just talk about that balance?
Art? I don't know. The queerness was never up for debate.
It wasn't a fight.
It wasn't a fight. Victoria Alonso, who was one of the execs who ran the thing, is very out, very queer, very supportive. I'm queer. I won't out anybody in our room, but like our room was queer and diverse in lots of ways, and we wanted to show the America that we know and have it. We didn't go out casting for queer folks. We went out casting for actors to play the parts, and we cast the right folks, and our show ended up like this. But like on that, Marvel's always been for the outside. Marvel's always been for the queer, for the people who have no homes otherwhere. So yeah, that part was never up for debate for me. And for me, I think, I don't want to speak for Proximity or Marvel, but I don't know how you write a show about blackness without writing a show about queerness, without writing a show about Latinxness, without writing about like all of the people in all of the places. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how you write a show that literally has like 97 alternate universes and we don't include queerness. Like, I just wanted to make something that felt real. You know what I mean?
You can tell it, Shay. You were looking at it.
Hi, I'm Philip Gamble. I like to say my filmmaker is like Ryan Coogler and Sharon would have had a baby.
Okay.
So it's like,
A lot of water.
My question goes to Zoie. Chinaka, thank you for a good show. Zoie and Sev. As Marvel, working with a brand like Proximity, how do you do like maintain the master brand as Marvel as MCU and still allow for fresh ideas to come from agency outside Marvel, and for Proximity like Sev, how do you set that line to bring in fresh perspective from the Proximity way to still maintain the master brand at MCU? Thank you.
That's a great question. I mean, first and foremost, we got extremely lucky to be partnered with them because they're the best in the business. Like, they really just are that good. They're that smart. They're that collaborative. They're that creative. So it really wasn't about battling of brands. It was about like-minded people collaborating. And so that I think isn't always the case, and I understand that. And in this particular case, I think Marvel tends to be at its best when we allow the fingerprints of artists to be visible. You look at something like Taika Waititi's take on Thor, and that reinvented that character in a way that was really expansive and positive and allowed for people to see the character in a new way, it allowed for people to see Marvel in a new way. So I do think finding partners who understand and have an affection for the brand, because at the end of the day, these guys are fans of Marvel. Like, they come in having been to the theater opening weekend and like have a real like love for it, but they also have their own unique filmmaking experiences that they bring that we haven't experienced. So it was a real gift to get to kind of merge those two creative, takes, because I do think it makes Marvel more interesting and more exciting to its viewers when you feel like it's being pulled in new and different and exciting directions. If we serve up the same sort of meal every time, that's when you start to get that feeling of fatigue and people want something different. And so I do think a way to solve that is in new and exciting partnerships like the one we have with Proximity.
Yeah, I mean, not much to add to that other than it's hard to work with Marvel because in the blue skies phase of any, we were developing Ironheart, we were like, yo, like, this is like early, like, oh man, what if there's a blah, 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 like a flying fortress kind of thing? And they're like, oh no, the Black Widow movie's gonna have that. Like, oh, okay, didn't know that, okay. Like, what if we do this, this alternate, multiverse of madness, if they're writing it right now, it's gonna have that. Okay, so it was so hard because not only did they have like 20 movies previous to us, they were working on so many things, but I think exactly what Zoe said was, finding a way to tell a unique story with Chinaka's unique voice and just, teasing the boundaries of what makes a Marvel movie and not ever breaking continuity. It's half the fun of working on these kinds of projects.
Hi, my name is Darrell Miller. I'm a masterful actor from the Bay Area, so So I would love to audition for one of your projects one day. But my question is about the show. There was a very special relationship that I seen between Riri and Natalie. And you saw that she didn't even really know how Natalie's AI appeared. And I remember a line where she said, Natalie came from her chest plate. So it almost seemed like that AI came from the pure love of Riri for her best friend Natalie. And later on, that love turned into protection because Natalie started to protect Riri throughout the episode. And so what I wanted to know is there a message, one message that the viewers can take from the relationship between Riri and Natalie?
Whew. Short answer is yes. Long answer is you should watch the rest of the series.
Okay.
It goes places. In short, Natalie is all of Riri's unsolved and unprocessed trauma. It's Riri's own psyche and her memories of her best friend. So, I don't know, we could get into it better, but
Yeah, for sure.
Natalie signifies a lot of things. I don't want to spoil anything.
Most definitely.
We can take one or two more. I saw yours go up, and then we do it again.
We're gonna stay around too if you want to come talk to us.
Hey guys, congrats on the show. My name is Sai. I promised I had a question about Ironheart, but you guys already answered it. I wanted to ask you something, Sev. So I've been following your and Anisha's work over the years, and I love the 3 projects that you guys worked on. But particularly with Searching, could you kind of walk through, I guess, how that kind of came about and how you became, the writer and how you guys made it, taking it to Sundance and so on. Yeah, I just wanted to learn more.
Yeah, I'll go really quickly just
Yeah.
to stay on topic. Anisha and I were friends at USC. We wrote a script together that was like a massive, big budget action, like Jerry Bruckheimer style movie that we gave Knock to give us notes on.
So good.
Thank you.
Please make that movie.
we were convinced we were gonna sell it for $1 gajillion. And my dad was like, "What are you guys doing?" He's like, "I'll buy it for $200." We're like, "Dad, like we're gonna be rich." Never sold it, and we tried to sell it to my dad after the fact. He said, "No more, no deal anymore." But we realized that we had to make something small, so we made a Google Glass video. If you guys remember what Google Glass is, rest in peace. It blew up. It was like a video that was designed to like show that you can, use those as filmmaking tools. You could not, but we want to get paid. So we did that, and that got us enough attention that we got the attention of this company that had made a movie called Unfriended. That's a horror movie that takes place on a computer screen. They asked us to pitch a short film that would take place on a computer screen. We pitched the idea of Searching, a father looking for a missing daughter, as an 8-minute short film. That's it. We thought it would be like a fun side project for us while we thought about a real movie we could write. We kind of wrote together like a 5-page deck, sent it to them. They had us come in for a meeting. And in the meeting, they said, "We don't want to make the short." We were bummed, and then they're like, "We want to make it as a movie. We'll pay you guys to write it. We'll pay you to direct it. We'll pay you to produce it. What do you say?" Anish said no. I kicked him. I'm like, "He means no problem." He was at the time he had already gotten hired at Google because of our Google Glass commercial. Was making good money. I was a broke indie guy. I'm like, "He means no can do. Like, we got this." And he did not want to make his first movie a computer gimmicky movie because that's weird. And how's that ever going to be taken seriously? I was like, we'll figure this out. So every day I would call Anisha, I'm like, "Hey man, we're not gonna make a movie." "I know man, we can't make it." "I know we're not, but if we did write it, what would be the first page?" She's like, "Well, we're not gonna do it, but like maybe this and maybe," and then like after 3 weeks, we had an outline. He said, "We're not making this." "I know we're not, but I'm gonna start typing it." And then he realized that maybe, and we both realized that like maybe there's something here, we can make it emotional. Got the movie financed, and we cast John Cho, which was a big deal for us because we really wanted to cast someone diverse and tell a story in that way. And people kept asking us like, "You're Armenian, you're Indian, you're like, there's no Koreans here. Why do you guys want a Korean guy?" And we were like, "Why not?" And we just loved him as an actor. And we got to Sundance luckily, and we got all those awards, and it did really well. So we made it for $800K, and it made $75 million in theaters, which is nuts. And we made a sequel, and there may be more sequels, but that's the quick version.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thanks for the question.
Okay, I saw yours go.
Thank you all so much for being here. The show's fantastic. I was wondering, compared to what each of you imagined going into the process, whether it be in development, writing, or production, what was the biggest change along the way? How did the product that we all love so much now differ from what you set out to make?
Okay, so my pitch was nothing like what we saw on screen. The pitch process was really a way for me to get to know my producing partners and them to get to know me. But we pretty much scrapped my pitch on day one. Though elements of the pitch, like the things that were my like must-haves, ended up in the show.
Yeah.
So like I said, we needed to have a mural of someone like Hebrew Brantley or Max Sansing, and we got Max Sansing to do the thing. I said we needed Bisa Butler's art to be in it. We used Bisa Butler's art and Ronnie's art. So like some elements of it were there. I remember we worked really hard for a couple weeks and we pitched to Ryan, and Ryan was like, okay, so Riri Williams builds a magic suit, fights everybody real good, and saves an art expo. That's bad enough. That's bad. He sent me back to the drawing board. So yeah, we had a couple of scraps, couple of rewrites before we really got our wheels going. We spent a lot of time on character though, and that was sort of my USC writing division hankering, must have. So we spent probably like 3 weeks on character development, really got to know the crew, really got to know each of our like central characters, and then spent time pulling from comic books under the careful guidance of Kelsey Liu, finding underserviced characters in and throughout the MCU. But yeah, I'm really glad what I had vision didn't make it to screen. I'm very glad to work with producing partners who are smarter than me.
There's probably a million little ways. I do think the soul of the project was always what you see on screen. Like, I think that was from the very beginning. One of the biggest changes to me, without spoiling anything, because the last 2 episodes are now out on Disney+. Go watch them tonight. Sorry. No, not at all. We had initially talked about an ending to the series that was a lot more buttoned up. That was a lot more of a, like, kind of like, all is well, we saved the day. Like, there was a more heroic sort of resolve. And I remember Kevin went, no, that's not interesting. Try again. And we said, okay, thank you so much. That's what we wanted you to say.
It's fine.
And honestly, thank goodness for that, because I do think it actually gave us the freedom to be, to follow what felt more authentic for the story and for the characters. So hopefully you'll all continue watching the show and you'll see what I mean by that. But that was a real gift to us to get to kind of not have to treat this like, well, we've got to just close the door to these characters in this miniseries. Because that's the beauty of the MCU, right? Is that you can always leave the doors open to where these characters can go. So that was really the biggest change in my life.
So we flung the doors wide open.
Yeah, we blew the doors open.
Yeah, there's lots of different paths.
I mean, look, the only thing I will add is I'm a longtime fan of the MCU, and I've watched everything, and I'm on all the Reddit threads and all the YouTube videos. I love that. I love this stuff. Similar to what Zoe said, we would have Zoom meetings every now and then with Kevin and Lou and Brad and Big. Like, there's a couple of moments where we had meetings where they would say like, oh, that's what you guys want to do? Don't do that. Do this instead.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the times it was like,
okay.
What?
Oh, shit.
and I remember like closing my laptop and I was like, my wife said, what's wrong? I'm like, you will never understand in a million years. It's a big deal. But, you know, watch the rest of the show.
And with that, I'm sorry, we don't have time for any more questions. But I do want to thank you, everybody, for coming. Please don't forget to watch the next 3 episodes. They dropped at 6 p.m. today. So when you get home, pull up your laptop, pull up your TV, pull up your Disney Plus, and watch the episodes. Tweet about it, Instagram about it, everything about it.
I don't know how you're gonna get and not see a spoiler. I feel really bad for this particular group of fans. Like, go immediately to your house and watch if you don't want to spoil it.